And that takes us to the other side of the ball, which is the defense, goals against. Not a great year for the Whitecaps defenders and goalkeepers last year. Bit of a struggle. They were on pace to concede 65 goals against last year. I'm going a little more optimistic on this one, over or under 55 goals against. So that's 10 less than what was projected last year. Can they keep it under 55 in 2021?
I feel pretty confident taking the under on this. Their defense was a little bit, like how bad it was a little bit exaggerated by certain games where they were shorthanded and they got absolutely caved in. Because it was a shortened season, that never quite like balanced out. So like, and especially I think like once Bikel came back, the defense like noticeably improved quite a lot. They went from giving up like 20 shots a game to giving up like 14 or 15, which is still not great, but you know it's a big noticeable improvement. I don't know how much under 55 it's going to be, but I feel like we saw pretty significant improvement on that front towards the end of the season. In one of my articles, there's a graph of like their expected goals against per game, and like it goes up super high at MLS's back, and then like slowly works its way down. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that they'll concede less than 55. I think probably like somewhere in the high 40s, low 50s is a pretty good bet.
Yeah, I think that I'm kind of on the same page. I think that also, I mean, just they're going to do a better job of possessing the ball this year, hopefully. We better hope. And just not having, hopefully having fewer games once they have that full, healthy, fit, not an international duty squad. We'll have fewer games where they just have to put 10 men behind the ball and just get battered for, much of the game. And I think that Bikel having a full season will be huge. I think when they finally get Alexandre in and can spend less time in their defensive third, they're just going to naturally, because I mean I think the personnel on the back line is fairly solid, and that if they're just not getting a superhuman amount of pressure on a game to game basis, they're going to show that, and I think 45 to 48 goals conceded sounds kind of about right.
I think Andrew mentioning the personnel actually it ties into what I was thinking. Like 55 sounds reasonable. I think it'll be a little bit below that, maybe around 50, 52, something like that. I think that has a lot to do with this year compared to like year over year compared to other years. You've got a back line that has, and including the defensive center mids right in front of it, we've got a chance this year to have guys who are actually familiar with playing with one another, which I think is a big deal. So not having brand new guys like Mikel and Owusu like starting right in front of them and not knowing how they're going to gel or listen to or communicate with whichever center back pairing is going to be there. I think that's actually going to be really big. That, and I'm going to get a lot of crap in the comments, I'm sure, but having a guy like Bruno Gaspar on the right side rather than Dervinsky, you might get a little bit better communication with the guys in the center. And if defense is weird, you need like a unified front. If everybody's on the same page, you can, and I don't have the statistics to back this up, but you can you can deflect like or prevent like, I don't know, I'll just throw a number out there, like 6 or 7 or 8 more goals a year. You can prevent that from happening, as opposed to guys who they don't communicate, or as we saw at the end of the 2019 season, stop giving a crap, and then just so many goals happen, and when everybody's just doing it performatively rather than with meaning. Having guys who can communicate, who can trust each other on the back line is going to be immense, even if it's just one extra year after having never played with one another for the most part. So I'm going to say it's going to be like 50 or 52. I think the main thing to draw on here is that the goal difference is going to be way lower than it has been the last couple of years.
I think performance-wise, all the players are pretty good. Abilities, we all know how well they're going to perform at least. They don't seem like a team that would give up more than 55 goals, in my opinion. I think what it's going to come down to would be the coaching. Like, I want to see how the tactics have changed as compared to last season, because there were some games that I was questioning some of the defensive positioning and just the tactics in general. But I want to be optimistic on this one more than any other one and say we'll concede less. Gaspar is also very, very reassuring, I would say. But yeah, less, going 47 to 52 probably is what I would rest it at.
Yeah, I think there's only one thing that could tank this prediction from being an under for me, and that's if Eric Godoy is unable to stay healthy. That's the huge question mark. Like, if Eric Godoy plays a full season or at least close to it, I'm smashing the under. But if he has difficulties, if we're having to see Ranko be the feature guy and have a lot of responsibility thrust his way, maybe he's not fully ready for that, then there's potentially problems, especially if you've got, Derek Cornelius away with Canada at times. It could create more problems. But if Godoy can stay healthy, then I'm pretty confident with most of you guys that they're going to be able to, clean things up a little bit. There might still be one or two blowout matches, but as you said, Caleb, I think that's going to even out over this season, whereas before it kind of stood out like a sore thumb in 2020.
I like how as soon as you mentioned Eric Godoy, everybody on the screen just was like, yep.
Well, he's kind of, he's a prototypical center back in the sense that he's so easy to forget about. Just kind of does his business back there, pretty tidy, not too noticeable, but he's an underappreciated, Alex and I on our third sub podcast, we talked about this a lot. Like, I think when he's healthy, he's in the conversation for a top 5 center back in MLS. And I think a lot of people in Vancouver forget that sometimes.
Well, and also you have to think about the drop off to not just the fact that Ranko looked so bad when he was playing alongside literally anyone else, but
and he'll be better this year, I think.
We can only hope. But Cornelius will be gone for much of the year, so that means you're looking at an Andy Rose Ranko center back pairing, and I think we all are of the opinion that Andy Rose should be sticking around at least as a veteran presence. But if we're throwing him out there, not great. Also, I said 45 to 48. I was way too optimistic. I meant more like 48 to 50. 45. If we concede 45 goals, we're making the playoffs, and that's probably not happening.
All right. Well, that brings us from some of the team over-unders to individual players and their performance. And the first guy we're discussing is one of the big men up front, Lucas Cavallini. He had 6 goals in 18 games in Vancouver, and that would have put him on pace for 11 goals over a full MLS season. So given the fact that he didn't really capitalize on all of his chances last year, there was a bit of a kind of breaking in period. I've set the over-under for this one at 13 goals. Will Cava score more or less than 13 in the 2021 season?
On my back of the napkin calculations, I have him at 12 right now. So it's gonna be close. I'd say even without the DP number 10, the over might be possible, maybe. With the DP number 10, again, it's a slam dunk. He'll blow that away. I'm pretty high on Cavallini. I think with the right service, he could do a lot of damage in this league. I saw someone write once like, well, he's never going to win a scoring title, but he's pretty good. And honestly, in the right circumstances, I don't know if that's true. I think he could do it. But at the moment, I've got him at 12, so it's an under, but it's not an under I'm super confident in. I think he could get the over if they really sort out the big word for the last 10 years, really, getting service to the striker. If they can sort that out, the over is possible even without a DP number 10. With a DP number 10, he'll blow that away. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree with the exact same number, actually. I would have him pinned down for 12 on the nose. I feel like that seems correct compared to if he continues with the on the trajectory that he was at the end of the season. Let's hope that it wasn't just Montero making him better. But yeah, no, I don't know, 13 seems like a pretty high number without any definitive service that we have. So 12 seems about right just for scrappy goals and whatever he can make out. But if as you said, Caleb, if we get that service, I could see him hitting 15 plus. But right now I have to say 12.
I should also mention you probably do have to consider he's probably not going to take penalties, so that probably brings us. Well, actually, I don't know if it changes his number that much, but based on his penalty performances. But you do have to keep that in mind. It's probably going to be somebody else at this point.
What do you think it'll be then, in that regard? What do you think it'll be taking those PKs?
I don't want to totally derail this conversation, but that's a good question because I think the most recent player on the roster right now who converted a penalty at club level is Diver Caicedo.
Okay.
So I don't know. Adnan has scored some.
Yeah, I was gonna say put Ali back on the spot.
Right.
I
Well,
want to
he's
see it.
for Iraq, but I don't know. The PTSD might be too strong to put him back on penalty.
No more Panenkas. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there just because just popped into my mind. I wonder who would be taking it. In all honesty, I think Cavallini will get more than 13, but not by a lot. I just now looked up what his expected goal rate was, and over a full season, that would have ended up being, I think, like 14 or 15. That's not assuming that he's going to score every single opportunity that he's going to get, but over like a longer season with an arguably stronger, more unified attack by bringing in a guy like Caicedo. Honestly, I feel like if he's not going to get more than 13, he's going to have a bigger part in setting up other people scoring at the very least. So if he doesn't get 13, he's at least going to get more assists this year, I think. But in any case, I think he's going to hit 14, just above, but like just barely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton to add. I'm kind of a similar mind. I mean, Caleb's done a much better job quantifying that, but he was really efficient at converting the few chances that he got last year. And, if he maintains that, hitting 13 really, I don't think should be that much of a problem for him. So I'll take the over.
Yeah, I think it's easy money as long as he converts, at the same rate or slightly better than last year, which wasn't even necessarily amazing for what he'd shown in other leagues. So I'm definitely taking the over on this one.